Okay, so as I told you in last lesson that CSS have three types: inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Actually, we applied inline CSS and internal CSS in our HTML lessons. So let me describe the inline and internal CSS. But till yet we didn't apply the external CSS, and we are going to do that. But before applying the external CSS, you need to know the difference between inline and internal CSS. So let's get back to our Visual Studio Code. So inline CSS are placed inside the tags or inside the elements. So as an example, you can take a look over here. This is h1 tag, and we used this is a red heading. This is the tag. But what we did, we added the style in here, and we declared the color for this text, and we added this style inside the h1 tag. So you can take a look. Here is the less than sign and here is the greater than sign, and we added the style inside the less than and greater than sign. So this is called the inline CSS, and inline CSS are using inside the elements. And now we are going to learn about the internal CSS. So I want to open our about.html page because we created a table in there. So you can take a look. We created a table in our table lesson in HTML, and you can take a look over here. We declared the table border and the table colors in here, and you can take a look. We declared with this style. That means this table row, table data, and the table's border, what will be the border pixel, we declared in here, and we declared the color as well. So these are the internal CSS. Actually, the main difference between inline and internal CSS, that is, inline CSS are placed inside the elements, and internal CSS are also taking place in your document, but it will declare separately. Or basically, internal CSS are placed inside the head. So when someone will place the style inside the head, that will be declared as your internal CSS. But you can also place the internal CSS anywhere in the body. So these are the inline and internal. So in internal, you can just create the style, and you can declare any element separately, and you can declare the object, likewise the color, likewise the border, likewise the height, width, and any other details. So these are the internal CSS. And right now we are going to learn about external CSS. Let me show you how you will create the external CSS. So till yet we have two HTML file, about and index.html. So I want to create another HTML file. That's why I'm creating this new files option. And as an example, I'm going to write in here details.html. One more things you need to be confirmed, that is, you must have to keep the correct extension. So I just created another HTML file, and the extension I used .html, and my file name is details. Okay, so let me hit the enter button from my keyboard. So here is the details HTML files just opened. So at first, what we have to do, we have to set up the structure. So let me set up the structure for this details page, and you just have to press the exclamation mark, and when you will hit the tab button, you will have the automatic structure for your page, and these structures are provided with the Visual Studio Code. So in body, I want to write h1 heading, and I want to write this is for external CSS. Okay, so what I did, I just written a text with using of h1 tag, that means heading 1 tag, and let me run this file in our live server. Okay, so in here we got our output, and here is the text. So if you want to change the background color, or if you want to change the text color, or if you want to change the font size, what you will do? So while we were learning the HTML, we applied the inline CSS and internal CSS for changing the text color. But right now we are going to connect with the external CSS. And remember one thing, inline CSS and internal CSS are not a good practice for the professional web developer. I just used for teaching, and because this is a beginner level class, that's why I used inline and internal CSS while we were learning the HTML. But if you want to be a professional developer, in that case you must always have to practice with the external CSS. And for changing the color, or for changing the background color, or any others, I mean style related anything, so whatever you want to change or whatever you want to apply for style, you have to do with the external CSS, and we are going to do these things right now. Okay, so let's get back to our Visual Studio Code. So you can take a look inside our HTML and CSS folder. We have total 4 files. Remember one thing, this images, this is not a file, this is a folder, and inside the folder we have images, as well as we have another image in here. But inside the HTML and CSS folder we have total 4 files in here, and inside of HTML and CSS I want to create another file. And for creating a file, you just have to click in this new file option, and I want to write style.css. You must have to follow the extension, because you have to use .css extension for creating a style sheet. And we are going to create a new file, and the file name will be style.css. And for applying the CSS, you have to use .css file extension. So I'm done with this naming. So let me hit the enter button from my keyboard. Okay. So here is style.css file opened in my Visual Studio Code. So you can ask me the question, why we created this file? Let me explain you in details. What we did earlier, that is, we applied the CSS inside this HTML files. I mean, this is our index.html file, and whatever we created, whatever text, whatever background color, whatever we created inside this index.html. Even we applied the style for this text, and we applied inside the tag. But we are not going to do that, because this is the process of inline CSS. We are going to declare the style for this details page, and we are going to set up the design in here in this style.css page, and we are going to declare these things. And this style.css page will be connected with the details page, and this is called the external CSS. Okay, so as an example, let me get back to our details.html page. In here, what we did, we written this is for external CSS, this is just a text, and we used h1 tag. And where this text is placed, it's placed inside the body tag. Okay, now I want to change the color of this text, and therefore I want to use this style.css file. So as I told you, our text is placed inside the body, therefore we have to declare the body in here. And remember one thing, for CSS you have to use this curly bracket, and inside the curly bracket I want to also change the background color. So at first I'm going to change the background color, then I will change the h1 or this text color. So let me change the background color first. So as an example, let me write background color, and then you have to type the color name. So here is some suggestion, and if you want to place the any specific color, in that case you must have to know the name, or you can type the first alphabet of the color. So as an example, let me type Y. So when you will press Y, all the color name with the Y alphabet will be appeared in here. So we have yellow and yellow green color present in here. So as an example, I'm going to pick the yellow green. So let me type YELLOW, then green, or you can just hit the tab button. Okay, so what we did, we just changed the background color. So let me save these things and let's take a look in our live server. Okay, let me reload these things. Anything happened? Nothing happened. I just changed the background color in our style.css in here, but nothing changed in our live server or nothing changed in our details page. You can ask me the question, why? The answer is, with this details page, we didn't connect the style.css files. So we have to connect this style.css file with the details page. Then these styles will be applied to the details page. So let's connect the style.css file with our details page. And remember one thing, for linking this style.css file, you must have to place the link code inside the head tag. So this is the opening tag of head and here is the closing tag of head. So you have to place the code inside the head tag. So I want to place my link code in here. So you just have to type link, and once you type the link and if you press the tab button, then an automatic code will be present in here, because this is the facility of Visual Studio Code. And if you don't have the Visual Studio Code, in that case you have to know the codes, because if you use the simple notepad or if you use the notepad plus, in that case you may not have this kind of suggestion. So for linking, what you have to type, you have to type link rel equal sign, and inside the quotation mark you have to type the style sheet, then you have to put a space, then you have to type href. That means this href is using for creating the links, and then equal sign and quotation mark. So inside the quotation mark you have to type the style.css with file name. So let me type the style.css, and here it's showing the suggestion. Okay, so we placed the style.css file inside the HTML and CSS folder, but what you have to do, if your style.css file are placed inside any other folder, if you place this style.css, this file inside any other folder, in that case before style you have to type the folder name. So as an example, let me type images/style. Okay, so if this style.css file placed inside the images folder, in that case you have to type in this way, but our style.css file are placed inside our main folder, that's why I don't need to type this images/ these things. So let me delete these things, and now I want to save it. So let me press Ctrl and S button from my keyboard, and now let's take a look in our live server, that is our background color changed or not. Boom, our background color is just changed. So this is the use of external CSS. That means whatever we will change for the design, we will not apply anything else inside our HTML file. In here we can use the heading tag, we can use all the others tag like hyperlinks, like the images, like the tables, whatever we are going to create in this HTML file, we are not apply any CSS code in here. Whatever we will do the design inside this style.css, and this is how you will apply the external CSS for developing a website. So I hope now you have the clear idea about the difference between internal CSS, inline CSS and external CSS, and we are going to cover this CSS lesson by using this external CSS.